Good evening. Thank you for joining us. First at 6, another executive order is causing concern and confusion for nonprofits and other agencies that depend on federal dollars to get by.
Last night, President Trump ordered a freeze on all federal grant and loan payments. But less than an hour ago, a federal judge temporarily blocked the freeze. Webb Wright reached out to several low-country nonprofit groups and others that could be affected if this decision ends up being lifted. Webb?
Well, the judge's decision pauses the freeze until Monday. Under this latest order, more than 2,000 programs will be reviewed, and it requires agencies to document whether the programs are, quote, advancing Marxist equity, transgenderism, and Green New Deal social engineering policies. But if the freeze goes forward next week, it could affect trillions of dollars of funding, dollars that low-country nonprofits depend on.
Our overall budget is close to $2 million, so that's a really big number for us to be able to cover without any kind of federal support.
Meals on Wheels is just one of the many nonprofits worried about the freeze.
The federal money that we receive makes up between 85% and 90% of our total budget.
In a news conference earlier today, Press Secretary Caroline Levitt was pressed on programs like Meals on Wheels.
I have now been asked and answered this question 4 times. To individuals at home who receive direct assistance from the federal government, you will not be impacted by this federal freeze.
While the freeze does not affect Social Security, Medicare, food stamps, and student loans, groups like Meals on Wheels need more clarity on if it applies to them. Meals on Wheels spokesperson Jenny Young tells ABC News, quote, "I'm not sure they understand how Meals on Wheels is funded or how they define direct assistance."
It affects us greatly. The remainder of that are our local funds, grant funds that we get from the community. Some of our grant funding, even CDBG money, which is also federal, which is one of the grants that we work with, would be halted by this.
The freeze is not limited to nonprofits. Assistant Chief Colt Roy with Central Berkeley Fire and EMS reached out to us and says funding with the SHARE grant through FEMA was used to hire 9 full-time employees. He's worried how it will impact the department. Charleston Meals on Wheels says it costs $2,500 to provide meals for one client. With more than 600 clients in Charleston and Berkeley counties, even a temporary freeze will deplete their financial reserves.
Probably got 3 to 4 months, and we're hoping that any sort of cuts like this would be temporary. It's really hard to even think of the concept of having to call, our 600 home delivered meal clients and our 50 center clients and say, hey, sorry, you can't come back.
Now, according to the executive order memo, agencies must submit, quote, detailed information on any programs, projects, or activities subject to the pause by February 10th to the Office of Budget and Management. It also says the office may grant exceptions on a case-by-case basis. But again, for the short term, a federal judge has blocked the plan for now. Working for you, Webb Wright, News 4.